YouTube disclaimer. This is a dramatic performance of a fictional monologue. This video is for entertainment and artistic purposes only. Hi there, my name is Toby and this is lecture number 12, the final lecture in my Magickal Science Lecture series. And today I'm going to be talking about technology, ether technology. And this is a very different science to the one we've been told. It's very different to quantum mechanics and relativity. Ether-based science is the grand unified field theory. It's field theory. It's what Tesla was working on. And it's important to understand that Tesla did not agree with quantum mechanics, nor did he agree with Einstein's relativity. And we've got to be clear about that, because a lot of New Age people talk about this, but they also talk about quantum mechanics, how amazing quantum mechanics is, as if quantum mechanics has got the answers. But it has not got the answers. It's a dead-end science. And you've got to listen to this whole lecture series to understand why that is. The very first lecture I talk about what is wrong with modern science. So if you go back and watch that, I'll go into great detail as to why this is wrong. But I want to share with you that this whole series is really to try and share with you that there is a different one. There is a better model of the universe, a more universal one, a more holistic one, and it will provide better technology. It will provide more answers. You see, field theory is the simplest, most elegant model of the universe. Quantum mechanics and what we've got now is materialistic, it's very messy, very complicated, very confusing. By their own admission, they don't understand it. The deeper it gets, the more confusing it gets. Whereas in field theory, the deeper it gets, the simpler it gets. And the field theory, as I said, is holistic. It includes the life force. It includes consciousness. It includes awareness. Life. It's chi energy. And the Taoists were the original scientists, very old scientists, and they talk about this. They talk about chi, and chi is the field. The whole universe is made up of this field of chi energy. It's the same as ether, the same thing. And all these ancient mystery schools had their own name for this field of energy. And it's very important to understand that this thing exists. This science was there in the past. It is here now, and it will be there here in the future. The universe is doing whatever it's doing anyway. Okay, we just try to understand it. And I put it to you, we don't understand it. And for all the cleverness of the modern world we're in, we have no clue as to what's going on. And I put it to you, we've got to start all over again and build up from the foundation of this field theory. Start again. And this isn't mumbo-jumbo fairy tale. This is reality. This is real science, real technology. Real things will happen with this knowledge. But I want to at least get the idea to you that this exists and it's worth looking at. You see, we're limited by the science we've got. And the technology we've got is very basic. We think it's amazing technology. It's still pretty much the dark ages. We're going around in cars. Yeah, fast cars, they look good. But we're just rolling along the floor. We're not floating through the space. We're not in UFOs. You see, UFOs is a big one. We talk about UFOs now. UFOs flying. Are they aliens or are they secret government projects? But whatever they are, they're flying around with a different science. You see, quantum mechanics can't explain that. Relativity can't explain that. They might try to, but they can't, because if the quantum mechanics was there to explain UFOs, we would be building them. We'd all be driving around, floating around in UFOs, but we're not, because they don't understand how they work. But they will not let go of quantum mechanics and all their modern science to start again and try and understand this. And I put it to you that if an alien came down, an alien flew down in their flying saucer, landed at one of our universities, sat in the lecture theatre, and we've got our professor, let's say the world's top professor in quantum mechanics and relativity, and he's given his lecture, the alien is listening. What do you think that alien will think? He'll be laughing his little socks off. He'll be laughing at us. We have no clue what we're talking about. It's very clever mathematics, but no connection to reality. We've really got to start again and acknowledge the ether. But UFOs, they're going to fly with this ether knowledge, with this Tesla's physics. It's all about controlling the field. So there's two aspects. You have to control the field. It will have a point of inertia. It will have to have a magnetic field around it. So it would need to have a way of creating a very powerful magnetic field, extremely powerful. So this now is separate from everything outside. Nothing can get in here. Nothing can get inside. This acts as a force field. So this essentially can slip through the space, do anything, go anywhere. Nothing can get in. This becomes like a superconductor. And then you need a second machine, a second one that creates a field slightly outside. And what you have to do is create a point of inertia. You have to create a sinkhole in the field, a little black hole. So this one will create a black hole in front so that it's always falling towards this point. And it's like a carrot and a stick. You have the horse with a carrot and a stick, so it's following this carrot. So this is how UFOs will fly, using field theory. Two simple things. Create a magnetic field, and then you need to create this a dielectric charge. You've got a pressure difference, high pressure here, a low pressure here. It always wants to move towards that low pressure. And you've got to have the ability of changing the angle. Change the angle a bit, so now it's there. Now it will move that way. So this will be propulsion. This will be its stabilization. This creates its independence. This allows it to fly through space without being affected. This is a force field. And this gives generates its motion. So how this is done is another question. But there's lots of different plans discovered about UFOs. Ancient ones, there's ancient Hindu text, Indian text called the Vimana Shastra. These are books written about how to build these things, and they use mercury, spinning mercury. Mercury is very interesting. If you spin mercury around and round, it will create a current. Just moving mercury in a pot, it will create a current. And mercury collects energy. It's a good absorber. You can use it to receive radio waves. The ether is the ground unified field, and we have to acknowledge it as a metaphysical force. See, physics and metaphysics should never have been separated. We need to acknowledge the unmanifest. There are things that are not physical, but they exist. Our thoughts, we're thinking, thoughts are not physical. We might have brain waves are physical, but the thoughts are not. Feelings, emotions, I feel a feeling. That's not physical, but you feel it. You can't prove your feeling, it's not physical, it's metaphysical. Mathematics itself is not physical. So if you're going to deny anything non-physical, you better deny mathematics. No modern scientists are going to deny mathematics. Entire quantum mechanics is very complex mathematics, but that in itself is not a physical thing. And the problem is with the ether, it's esoteric science. And esoteric science is very confusing. And in many different schools, mystery schools, all telling you something slightly different. But the only universal esoteric science, there is one universal esoteric science, and that is mathematics. Mathematics itself is an esoteric science. And you've got to wrap your head around that. Mathematics is not physical. Mathematics is esoteric knowledge. It is the ether. It is the chi. The ether is mathematics. It's a non-physical thing. It's information, pure consciousness. And this pure consciousness, this pure field of ether, manifests itself into reality. And when this pure fluid field of ether, metaphysical, unmanifest force, it appears as electromagnetism. So electromagnetism is the manifest force that we can see and detect. But even that is a pure fluid field. Pure fluid field. And the best word to describe that is the dielectric field. You see, it's dielectricity and magnetism, two functions. You have dielectricity, which is a voltage, a potential of energy, and then magnetism is a force, where this wants to pull back together again. You see, energy is created, and energy wants to return back to inertia, disappear again. So magnetism is the force pulling it back together again. So it's a very, very different science, and the fundamental, one of the main fundamental differences is the first law of thermodynamics. See, modern science tells you, first law of thermodynamics, energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. Well, this is flat out wrong, flat out wrong. Because of that law, you can't have a free energy machine, but we can have a free energy machine. So therefore, first law of thermodynamics is wrong. And in fact, it's so wrong, it's completely the opposite. Energy is continually being created and destroyed. The universe is continually creating itself and destroying itself. And I talk about that through the whole lecture series. But this magnet is emitting a force. There's a force coming out of here. Here's another magnet. See? It pulls inwards that way and it pushes outwards that way. So if you look at it this way, force is being propelled away. Something is coming out. But this side, it's going in. The universe is destroying itself and the universe is creating itself. And it's all happening in the midpoint. Inside this magnet, there is a point of inertia. A tiny point right in the middle of the field, and this point is infinitesimally small, and in this point there is nothing. This is where ether is becoming electromagnetism. And from this point of inertia, electromagnetism appearing and disappearing back in again. It's very, very deep, totally different philosophy. Free energy is set up by a geometry. It's movement and geometry. It's got nothing to do with transforming energy. See, Tesla's AC generator is manifesting electricity. It is creating electricity out of the ether. It is not transforming kinetic energy to electric energy. Now, the easiest way to explain this is look at a very simple dynamo. Very simple. You have a circle of wire like this, and then you have a magnet. You put a magnet through the wire like this, and you have to pump this magnet in and out. And if you move this magnet in and out of the wire, what happens is you get a current coming out. You'll get a current coming out of the wire, this coil of wire. So you'd think the kinetic energy of pumping this is creating this, is being converted into electrical energy, but it's not. You'd have to calculate the kinetic energy and it would have to be equal to the electric energy, and it won't be. But actually the energy I put into this is irrelevant. It's just the movement. It's just a movement. Now the other analogy to look at is we think it's like this. There's an old-fashioned water pump. I don't know if you know these old-fashioned water pumps. They've got a big handle like this, and then they go deep underground into the well, and here's the water. And you pump this handle up and down, pump, pump, pump. And what happens is if you start pumping, first of all it's easy. You're pumping easy because no water's coming up, just air. And then suddenly the water starts coming up, and now you have to work hard. Oh, now the water's coming, and you can feel it. Each lever is pumping the water up, pumping the water up, pumping the water up. So this is, you feel it, there's more work to be done to get the water up. First of all, it's easy, no water. Oh, now the water starts, pump, pump. You'd think it's the same with this. It should be the same thing. If this is converting kinetic energy into electricity, I should be pumping through, and then when the electricity comes out, oh, now it's harder work. I've got to really hard now. Now I'm pumping the electricity to come out. But it's not. You see, we can prove this very simply. You put a switch here, so you disconnect it, and you start pumping. And then you close the switch, you connect it, and then you start pumping. And the electricity comes out. But it's the same amount of work. It's not suddenly harder work. Oh, now electricity is coming out. I've got to convert this work into electricity. No, it's simply movement and geometry. And this manifests the electricity. It is manifest, created. If you understand that, free energy machines are very, very easy, very possible. In other words, the first law of thermodynamics says energy cannot be created, only transformed. That's wrong, completely wrong. It's the exact opposite. Energy is always being created and destroyed. In this magnet, energy is coming out, it's being created, and it's going back in again. It's being destroyed. Energy is continually being created and destroyed. That's how it works. It's created from a point of inertia. The point of inertia, energy is disappearing in, but it's also coming out. So this is if you understand that, free energy is perfectly possible. And the problem is there's a lot of fake machines out there. It's a lot of this stuff is fake, so you've got to use your discernment, think about it to see what's the real one and what's not. But the principles are real. So making a free energy machine is not a big deal. The big deal is how to get it out there. How do we get it out there? Because they won't let it get out there. That's where the decentralization comes in. We need a decentralized communications network that we can share the information to everyone, get the machines out. But you have to let go of the idea of using the system. You can't use the patent office. You can't try and sell it because they won't like that. You have to give it away. Okay, it's a big deal. We have to change our whole mindset about this. And if you can understand this, then you can explain how UFOs work, and you can explain all this ancient technology, and you can explain this futuristic technology that we're supposed to be having, but we have not got yet. And one of the main problems why we don't have this technology, of course, it's been withheld from us. It's been withheld from us through the system. I talk all about the system in the last lecture, the matrix that we live in, this society, a very controlled society. And it's governed essentially by the financial system, and the financial system, of course, is all about profit. So only technology that will create profit is going to be allowed. Free energy machine, very difficult to profit from it, so you can't have that. But Tesla, one of Tesla's last projects was to build a free energy generator. It cost you about £500, put it in your house, you've got free energy, done. If we had one of those, whole world would change. Everything would start changing. So we've got to work out A, how to build these, and B, how to get them out. Because you can't get them out through the system. You've got to let go of this idea of the patent. I've got to patent it. This is the trouble. When you patent a design, who controls the patent office? The same people. The banks will control the patent office. So some patents will just disappear. You'll never see them. And there's so many inventors invented incredible things. What happens to them? They all get disappeared. Can't be allowed. Or all their patents are bought up. Someone buys them all and then hidden away. Can't use them. Can't use them. So you've got to forget all about the patent office. We've got to have a new way of getting this technology out. We need a decentralized communication network to let this technology get out there. But let's talk about what this technology actually is, first of all. So now you've got the idea there is a different science, a science based on field theory. And it's a holistic science. It includes the life force. This field of ether is chi, is the life force. So if we use technology with this, it will be healing technology. Healing technology be good for us because it acknowledges the life force. It is collecting life force. So if we use it, it's going to be good for us. At the moment, the technology we've got is harmful, it's destroying life force, it's disharmonious on purpose. We've got harmful electromagnetic radiation. It's the wrong frequency, damaging frequency. But if we had electromagnetic radiation at the right frequency, it would do us good. You see, that's a very subtle difference, very important to notice. But Tesla's science, Tesla, of course, was building energy generators, power stations, and he was able to transmit power wirelessly, so we'd have wireless power transfer. But more interesting than that, his generators were good for you. You see pictures of Tesla sitting with a great big Tesla coil, lightning sparks coming out, and he's just sitting there. That ionized air is very, very good for you. He's sitting in there getting charged up. It's doing him good. So if we had a Tesla generator near us, you could go and have a picnic sit near the generator. It would do you good. At the moment, the power generators we've got are bad for you. You want to stay away from them. They're emitting harmful radiation. Tesla's generators were working at different frequencies, and that frequency was good for you. It was healing technology, as well as being free energy and wireless energy. So this is what we need. There's three types of technology that we need. Okay, we need a practical technology. We need practical stuff, and I mean free energy machines, for example, communications, all sorts of things. But using field theory, acknowledging ether, you'll come up with a whole different set of stuff. Then we also need healing technology. We need stuff that is going to heal us, improve our strength, improve the power of our soul, improve the connection between our mind and body. The technology we've got now is separating us. We're in a screen. Our mind is going into the screen, into the computer, into the game. And it's away from our body. We're separating. We are diluting ourselves, losing ourselves, getting weaker. So we want a technology that brings us back into our body, strengthens our connection to our body, our connection to nature. And then thirdly, we need another technology that is decentralization. Decentralized. Everything can be decentralized. If we don't, decentralizing will allow us to take back control. Otherwise, everything we've got now is centralized under the control of a small group of people, and whatever we bring out, whatever we invent, it's just disappeared. We just lose it anyway. So we've got to change this whole practice. We can't just make an invention, try and patent it and make money off it. It will just disappear. We've had so many of these. A guy invented a car that ran on water. There's guys that built a plasma battery, a battery that lasts pretty much forever. He ran his house on it. Several of these scientists built a plasma battery. What happened to them? Victor Schauberger, very famous guy, very clever inventions using water, movement of water to create machines, very clever. Same thing happened to him. All his patents were bought up, disappeared, and they bumped him off, essentially. Same with Tesla. Tesla was ruined. Where did his patents go? All been confiscated somewhere. All of Tesla's patents are. So this is centralization. We've got to break that one. These are the three things we've got to work on. We've got to work on coherence. Coherence. Now this is a particular type of engineering technology, and this magnet is coherence. This magnet has got power because all the atoms are lined up. They're all working as one single unit to create one single field. So to all intents and purposes, this is like one atom. Lots of millions and millions of atoms all working together, but now they all cohere into one big atom. And this one big atom has got a central point of inertia that creates one energy, one field. Each one of these separate atoms is doing the same thing, but when they all line up, they create one big one. This is coherence. So coherence is going to be magnets. Future technology needs magnets. It's going to be magnets. It's also going to be lasers. So you've got magnets, and you've got lasers, and you've got lasers. Lasers again is coherence. A laser is coherent light. The light is all flowing at one frequency, all coming out at the same time at the same frequency from the atoms. And because they all come out at the same frequency and they're all in phase, all working together, it's multiplicative. The light comes out is so powerful. You see, imagine this was a laser, and again, they're using crystals, but even this crystal is coherent. This is coherence. The atoms are all locked together in a structure, and the structure all works together down towards this point, and this is creating a sort of laser effect. But the way I use crystals in healing, I'm using the ether directly for healing. So this is me, life force. I use my life force to go through the crystal to create a laser of this unmanifest force. It's different. But lasers will be using the manifest force, electromagnetism, projecting light. So technology, we have lasers. And it will also have crystals. Again, because there's a different type of coherence, but you can do many, many different things with crystals, very clever stuff with crystals. So these are the sort of things we're going to be looking at. But interesting, a laser, there is more. You can have something called a phaser, a sound laser. You can emit sound of the same frequency at the same phase, and you'll be able to create a laser of sound. And very powerful. People are looking into that. But this means coherence. The one aspect of engineering we've got to look into, how to make that work. The next aspect of engineering that we've got to work on is this. Well, let's change pen. I was going already. Resonance. Now, resonance is very, very interesting. Resonance, again, is something that can't be explained properly with quantum mechanics and relativity. Modern science can't explain this. This is instantaneous action at a distance. This is power transfer, but nothing is transferring across. How do you explain this? This is magnetic induction. We've got these induction cookers now. A little plate, you put the pan on it, it's not even touching, turn it on and the pan heats up. How is the power getting from the cooker to the pan? It's not even touching. There's a plastic in between. It's come through resonance. There's a transmission of power, but there's nothing there to see. Even you've got to ask these quantum people, how do you explain magnetic induction in a vacuum? There's nothing there in a vacuum, but it will still work. Power will transfer across. Well, resonance, I can explain it to you now here, and no one else, I don't think, is saying this, but I'll explain this very simply. Resonance is this. It is geometry. Geometry. In other words, you've got to look at it. Let's look at a tuning fork. If you have a tuning fork here, well, let's say you have a series of tuning forks. All right, these are 3 metal tuning forks, and they're all together on a block of wood. And over here, you've got one tuning fork by itself. Now, if you ring this tuning fork, it's the same. Let's say it's the same as this one. This one and this one are the same. If I ring this tuning fork here, dong, it's a distance away. This one will vibrate, but these two won't. Only this one, because it's the same size. It has the same geometry. These two have the same geometry, therefore they resonate. These two are different sizes. They don't have the same geometry, so they will not resonate. It's called, you can also call it sympathetic resonance. But not only will this happen with sound like that, it will happen with everything. Resonance happens with all sorts of things. So you will have, I'm just talking about it, magnetic induction. This is the secret of Tesla's wireless power transfer. He'd have a big Tesla coil over here, great big coil of wire, say, great big coil of wire, and over here you'll have a smaller coil of wire, but it's got to be the same number of coils. There's some relation between these two coils that makes them have the same geometry. Then if you run a current through this is a distance away, but a current will appear in here. You'll get a current coming out of here. There's been a wireless power transfer between these two coils. This is the secret of Tesla's wireless power transfer. And we have got it. It is proven in these induction cookers. And people have done this experiment as well. How does an induction cooker work? If you open up an induction cooker, it's basically a coil of wire like this. And if you take two induction cookers, open them up, take two coils, or you've got to disconnect one. So if you take an induction cooker here, and this goes to a plug, so you plug this one in, and this is your induction cooker. Let's call it a cooker here. And then you take another induction cooker, the same one, identical one, and instead of a plug, now what you do is put a light bulb. You put a light bulb here. So you've got these two identical induction cookers. This one you plug in, so now you've got current running through it. This one you don't. And then if you put this one on top of this one, these two coils, then the bulb will light up. So you can already prove this just with the technology we've got. But so these two things are Tesla's wireless power transfer, and you could prove it. But what's interesting is this light switches off. So they've got a cutout switch. There's something in here that registers when it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, then it cuts out, because they don't want us to have this. This is the secret to free wireless power. They don't want us to have this. So they've only released this technology when they found a way of controlling it or licensing it. It's the same, you've got a mobile phone now. You can charge your mobile phone just through induction. It's not touching anything. But they can only do that once they've worked out how to make sure it's not used for any other purpose. But people are doing this. People are building this stuff. But the resonance comes from geometry, numbers, shapes. So you've got sound resonance. Now I just told you you've got electromagnetic resonance, but there's more. There's more. You've got morphic resonance. Morphic resonance. Very, very interesting one. Now, morphic resonance is talked about mainly by a guy called Rupert Sheldrake, and he talks about this in biological systems. Very similar to one of my previous lectures. You see, living things grow into a particular shape. We as humans grow into this particular shape. How do we know to grow into this shape? There's some information, some energy that tells our cells to grow into this shape. So this is what Rupert Sheldrake says. This is morphic resonance. We grow into the shape. We're resonating with a humanoid shape. But it's more than just that. You see, morphic resonance is anything. So the pyramids is the easiest one to understand. Everyone knows about the pyramids, but you've got these pyramids at Giza. The pyramid of Giza is built in a certain proportions, very important geometry. But if you make yourself another small pyramid, people have got them all around the world, a small one, as long as you map the dimensions, the proportions of this must map the proportions of this, these two geometric shapes will resonate. They will have a morphic resonance. So that's why you can have these little pyramids, put them on your head, because they're resonating with the Great Pyramid of Giza. But the other question to ask is, well, what is the Great Pyramid of Giza resonating with? Because they built that for a particular reason. And we'll come to that in a second. But just to say, look, resonance, there's more than just one. Sound resonance, electromagnetic resonance, morphic resonance. And then the third one, coherence resonance, is this, implosion. Implosion. So these are the three engineerings that we have to work on to build this new technology. Implosion is very interesting as well, because all of our technology we got now is explosive. explosive, the combustion engine. The combustion engine, boom, it explodes. The fuel is burnt. The energy is locked in the fuel and we release the energy. The energy dissipates, goes back to the ether. In other words, we're destroying energy in an explosion. Energy is disappearing. And as we destroy the energy, we capture some of it to build an engine. You can see it with this pen. You see, I dropped the pen down. It's got some energy at the top here, and as it falls down, it loses the energy. It loses the energy, but what happens is, at this point of losing energy, I capture some of it to make a machine. And you can, if I tie a rope here to a heavy weight, the weight drops down, the rope turns up, and I could turn a wheel and create a little engine. I create a little engine by the fact that this thing falls down. It is in the process of entropy, energy disappearing. We are capturing entropic energy with modern technology, most of it. Implosion is the opposite. Implosion is creating energy, or it's turning things inwards. Rather than exploding outwards, we explode inwards to create a point of inertia, like what we have in the middle of this magnet, a point of inertia, turn everything inwards. And if you do this, if you can create implosion technology, you can create very high pressures, very high things going on, high energy. And there's another set of guys at the moment working on something called the thunderstorm generator. Again, I'll leave links below. These are serious scientists working on it right now. And it moves towards, what they're doing is transmuting matter. Transmuting matter. And this requires a slight digression, because implosion, like I said, if you're putting everything towards the center, or like firing two lasers towards a point, this creates matter, by the way. So they're working on this in a certain particular way, and their machine is called the thunderstorm generator. And what it does, it transforms, it changes carbon dioxide into oxygen. So it's literally changing one form of matter to another form of matter, and it's based on two spheres. Again, it's all about geometry. There's two spheres with gas and liquid pumped through these spheres, and certain things going on. It's quite a simple thing. You could build this, and you can go and look at all their videos, and there's serious scientists investigating this because they have got evidence that they've done this. You put carbon dioxide in, and out comes oxygen, and you can breathe the oxygen. But more than that, when they opened up the machine, they noticed all other different elements had appeared. Titanium, silver, gold even, all different elements had appeared. And it's because of a thing they call plasmoids. Plasmoids. And again, this is a digression, but plasma is a state of matter. And I talked about this in the nature of the universe. The nature of the universe, you can think of it, comes from ether, unmanifest. And then ether comes electromagnetism. Electromagnetism, so here we go. Electromagnetism turns into neutrons. So now we've got particles. And this turns into atoms. And once you've got atoms, now you have got substances. You've got solid, you've got gas, and then you've got liquid, and you've got solid. You see, it works its way down. But here, from the point of atoms, see, atoms are still a gas. If you think about hydrogen gas, that's hydrogen atoms, free floating. But a gas is also a molecule. Think of carbon dioxide, a molecule, gas floating. But here, in neutrinos, at the level of particles, this is a plasma. Plasma. So a higher state of energy above gas is a plasma. It's before the atoms have really formed. It's a flux of neutrons. Very high energy required to just have only neutrons. As this cools down, gases will form. The neutrons will turn into atoms. They'll coalesce. The layers of complexity will increase. But usually this thinks of high energy. You know, we can't normally have a plasma. Very difficult to make a plasma. But in a plasmoid, this is like a microscopic plasma created by super high pressure in a tiny little bubble. So it's worth looking into this. This is a method of creating a plasma, transmuting matter on a microscopic scale. So it's real technology that we can do here, and it's got to be looked into. And I talk about this in my lectures in terms of the body. See, the body is also transmuting matter. We're changing matter and energy. We're switching between energy and matter, fluid and energy. See, the hormones are liquid, but they give us energy. Adrenaline is the easiest one. Adrenaline, a shot of adrenaline, that's a liquid. But from that liquid, I got a burst of actual energy. Something mysterious is happening. There's a crossover between liquid and energy. A transmutation of matter is happening. Biological transmutation of matter. This is a physical, technological transmutation of matter. So I'll leave a link below to the guys talking about these plasmoids. It's well worth a look. But when you understand, essentially what I'm saying is these are the unusual things that modern science is not really looking at, but these are the things we should be looking at to develop this new technology. And this technology, of course, is not new. It's not really new. Ancient technology is the same. Ancient technology is the same stuff. So again, it implies that in the past we had a lot of high technology. It wouldn't have been the same as what we got now, but it would have been similar. It would still be working. We would have communication, but we wouldn't recognize it as what we've got now. And partly it's because the science we had would have been more holistic. Our mind would have been included in there. So in other words, communication would also include telepathy. So at the moment we think, oh, I can talk to anyone around the world now because I've got a mobile phone. Yeah, but what about if you had telepathy? That's wireless communication. And the brain is emitting radio waves. The brain emits radio waves, I think, at about 20 watts. It's quite high energy for radio waves. And a 20-watt radio will broadcast a radio signal all across the earth. You can get little radio broadcasters now, 1 watt. A 1 watt radio thing will broadcast a signal for several miles. So that will travel miles. 20 watt, our brain, will travel across the whole earth. But we don't know how to use it. We don't know how to make this telepathy. But what about if we had a structure, say a pyramid? The idea was to go in the pyramid to amplify our telepathic powers, and then I can communicate, not only around the world, to other planets. So that's a communication technology, but nothing like what we've taught. There's no telepathy, that's just rubbish. Mumbo jumbo fairy tale nonsense. Here's a virtual particle. Here's some dark matter we can't prove. Here's some dark energy. I don't know what it is, but you must believe it. Here's 11 dimensions, 21 dimensions. What do you mean dimensions? Just believe it. They're another dimension. You're the ones talking nonsense fantasy. Telepathy is much more realistic than this nonsense about virtual particles. Anyway, my point is ancients had the technology that we should be having as well, and it's been taken away from us. It is an esoteric science. And the ancient technology is using all these things as well. It's using coherence. They had crystals. There is a theory that the capstone of the Great Pyramid of Giza was a quartz crystal. Why did they use that? And of course, we already talked about resonance. The resonance is the geometry. So we know that is the case. Implosion, very interesting. Implosion, again, let's look at the Great Pyramid of Giza. Let's just say inside the center, you've got the king's chamber with a sarcophagus in there, haven't you? There's a sarcophagus inside the king's chamber. It's right in the middle. Or something in the middle there. This is like a point of implosion. This is like the point of inertia of this structure. So if you go and lie in that pyramid, all the energy is converging into this point, the central point. Here the universe is being created and destroyed because of the coherence of this whole structure. So this will be the power point. You go and lie down in there, you're going to get massive healing. Or you're going to get your telepathy amplified. Something's going to happen to you there. It's using these three things. And we've got to find out new ways of doing this. But let's look at it in greater detail. Resonance is the one to work on, because pyramids we talked about, ancient history, but then there's other temples, incredible temples of details. There's cathedrals and churches, and these are incredibly built structures. And they've got to be built by very clever people, not the people we're told they're built by, going around on a horse and cart. We didn't build that. Someone very clever built these cathedrals. This ancient technology, as I said, is all to do with the ether. It's all to do with the ether. If we can understand ancient technology, that is a proof in itself, because it exists. It's already there. It's done. It's undeniable. We already talked about the pyramids. But let's talk about something else. Let's talk about these other old buildings. We've got old cathedrals, old churches, old temples. And they're all slightly different, but they're all very elaborate. very complex, and they're all made with very detailed instructions, detailed mathematics. You see, the pyramids, for example, the pyramids are built with a certain proportion. They've got proportionalities, certain measurements, certain volume, certain alignment, and all these things connect to the universe around it. So, for example, the mathematics of the pyramid, you can find in there the dimensions of the Earth, the circumference of the Earth, the distance of the Earth to the Sun, the size of the Sun, the speed of light is in there. All sorts of numbers are in this shape, in this geometry. That's why it's so clever. It's aligned with magnetic north, perfectly aligned. You know, this can't be built. This is highly difficult to build. And why did they do that? All this alignment, you see, resonance goes together with alignment. Resonance and alignment. These two things are very important. You see, if you have three pyramids built down here on Earth, and these three pyramids map three stars in the cosmos, in other words, the distance is the same proportionality of these distances, the magnitude, the size of these is the same magnitude as these, this thing will align with these three things. So in other words, the alignment of this matches the alignment of this, and because of that, this whole thing resonates with this whole thing. So resonance and alignment go together, and this is all to do with our training. I've got to align my body correctly in order to resonate with the chi, with the energy. And there's one more thing that they do as well, you see. There's one more thing that they do, and that is they collect electromagnetic energy. Okay, resonance and alignment is to do with ether. This is to do with the ether. And they also collect the electromagnetic energy directly. So this is manifest energy, this is unmanifest energy. Okay, there's an important distinction. So let's look at some of these old world buildings. Let's take a cathedral, for example. You have a cathedral or a church, great big tall structure like this. Oops. And at the top you've got a metal thing, and then it goes down to a tower. And then you have at the back, you have another building at the back with windows, and you usually have a big circular window here with some incredible pattern on it. And you've got this sort of structure. So what is going on? Well, this tall spire is to collect the static fields. This is quite literally to collect the lightning. The lightning will strike this, and if the lightning strikes this, it will charge up the whole building. So these were designed to receive lightning. And again, this is undeniable. How many millions of churches all around the world, cathedrals, these buildings, they were all built with a thing at the top, a weather vane, some metal thing at the top there to collect the electrostatic force, collect lightning. And none of them had a lightning conductor. Now we say, oh, that's dangerous. So we put a lightning conductor, a little bit of metal that goes all the way down the side of the building into the earth. So when lightning hits it, instead of going into the building, it goes down the side into the ground, because this is dangerous. But all these buildings built all over throughout time, never bothered about a lightning conductor. They were designed to capture the lightning. This building was using bricks. These bricks, in particular red bricks, they act like batteries. You can store electrical charge in there. Granite, again, is crystalline. It's got piezoelectricity. They can do something with electric charge. And it's got a very deep foundation. We don't know about the foundation of these things. See, these things are built with massive deep foundations and catacombs, things going on underneath. And that's all part and parcel of it. You see, the lightning would hit, go through underneath. There'll be water. Often you'd have water running underneath. So this thing is capturing atmospheric electricity. It's a power station. And this thing here is very interesting as well. This circular thing here is to do with the magnetic field. And this is essentially a magnetron. Magnetron. So you can look up magnetrons. These are in microwave ovens. These are particular things, but they have this shape. You create this sort of structure and run a current through it. It's complicated what a magnetron is, but here in a church you can see an interesting shape that behaves very much like a magnetron. And of course that allows the magnetic field to build up. And it's at the front. It's at the front, so the magnetic field builds up inside. Here the electrostatic charge builds up. Here the magnetic field builds up. There's a lot going on here. And this is all to do with collecting the ambient electromagnetic energy around. But there's more to it than this. Remember, there's resonance and alignment. These things will be built with a certain proportionality. To create resonance. But what are they resonating with? They are resonating with the ether. They're resonating with the ether. And the ether is mathematics itself. And the most important aspect of mathematics in the ether is the mathematics of the golden ratio phi. This is the Greek letter phi. It represents the golden ratio. And I talk about this in all my lectures. This is the only law of the universe. Remember, mathematics is the only true esoteric science. It's universal, and out of mathematics, to create a manifest reality, you have to use the mathematics of phi. And this goes together with Pythagorean mathematics called incommensurability. 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 You have to look this up. But this is very, very serious mathematics. And this also is geometry. So you will see certain geometries. Okay, you will also see certain geometries appear. And these geometries are to do with this incommensurable geometry and to do with this mathematics of phi. So when they build these structures with these particular shapes, it's very clever stuff. And it's not random. Those shapes are designed to resonate with the ether through the mathematics of the golden ratio phi. So you're going to see proportions of phi in here. I don't know what they'd be. You'd have to do detailed analysis. But you see, it might be the volume of this compared to the volume of this will be in the ratio of phi. You know, the width to this, the length to this will be a ratio of phi. Something like that is going to be going on. And again, the alignment of this. So whether this is magnetic north at the front door or it will be at an angle, but this will be aligned to the magnetic north. These will be pointing other buildings. They'll be set up with other buildings. So there's a lot of alignment, resonance, and collection of electromagnetic energy. But let's look at, say, these palaces. You've got these other major buildings. You've got a dome, and again, the same thing at the top of a dome. You'd have something, and then you'll have another part of the building maybe. Then you have a triangle here. You've got all these triangles, and then you'll have some pillars, won't you? You have pillars. You have all this stuff going on, and then you'll have another rest of the building, and you'll have archways. You'll have arched windows as well as triangular windows. You'll have all this stuff going on, and these are all mathematical. The number of pillars is important. The angle, this triangle is going to be a particular triangle, perfect incommensurable geometry. It's 108 degrees by 36. This is very, very important in Pythagorean mathematics, and that leads to the Pythagorean pentagram. Everyone knows the pentagram, magical symbol. You know it from dark magic, but it's not dark magic, it's just magic. But it's not any old pentagram. It's a pentagram made up of this triangle. You see there's three of them here. There's one, and then there's two, and then here there's three. And each one of these, the 108, 36, 36 triangle, this goes together to make the Pythagorean pentagram of the 5 elements. So even this symbol is very, very important, but it's not random, it's exact. When you make it exact, it resonates with phi. Therefore, it is resonating with ether, unmanifest force. So when you build a building with all this geometry, it is resonating with the ether. It is creating energy, creating it through the geometry. But what is interesting, there is an element of creativity to this. It's not fixed. You've got all different types of buildings. You can have a creative flair. You can chop and change. It can be artistic. As long as you stick to this certain mathematics, you think about it. You choose some numbers, you align it carefully. You think about all the proportions. You can build a structure with an artistic flair that still resonates with the ether. And it will collect energy. Okay? So it is a science, but it's also an art form. It is a holistic science. And there's another thing called electroculture, the same principle. Electroculture. And electroculture is when you want to grow a plant. So here's a flower, so a sunflower. You want to grow a plant. Now, if you stick a metal rod in the ground here, so a copper rod in the ground, this will help the plant to grow because it will attract the atmospheric voltage. You'll get a voltage and it will bring the voltage down into the ground and supply energy to the plant. This is called electroculture. Again, I'll leave links below to a guy called Matt Roski who talks all about this a lot. But this will create an atmospheric voltage and it will help the plant to grow. This has been proven. You get about 4 times more growth yield from your plant by doing this. But you can do more. See, this just a rod will attract the voltage. You can create an aerial, an actual angle. If you put an actual angle on there, it's going to do more to resonate with a particular frequency of energy coming in, and that will do more. But you can also create an ether aerial, an antenna. If you can design this, you can do something fancy, whatever you like. Create some nice design, put a spiral in there. And they put crystals. You can put crystals on here. Now crystals, all different types of crystals, whatever you want to do. Because crystals in their own right are already resonating. They're already resonating with the ether. They're built like that. And this pattern, if you feel it, you really think about it and feel the pattern, you will be putting your life force in it. You'll be tuning in. And you'll create an organic structure, again, with the mathematics of phi. You don't have to do detailed mathematics, just feel it. And you'll get it right. You create something beautiful, beautiful to you. And now this will do more than just connect the atmospheric energy. It will also resonate with the ether, resonate with this mathematics. The beauty of nature. You create something beautiful, it resonates with the ether. This is proven to be something to help against the poisoning from the skies. You know, we've got poisoning from the skies coming. Poisoning from the skies. And building some of these electroculture, people have reported building big ones of these, even sort of pyramids you can build, all sorts of stuff. And they report that the skies above their garden clears a bit faster. And it could be true because it will create a magnetic field. It will create an effect. And it is also drawing energy up from the earth, projecting it up. So it could well have an electrostatic effect and help to clear the skies above you. So this is one of the few things we can do to protect ourselves from this spraying from above and protect our crops. If you're a farmer or you want to grow stuff, you've got to look into electroculture because this will give you a battle. It will give you a tool, a weapon to fight against this spraying from above, the poisoning. You see, we want all the help we can get to keep going. So electroculture is very interesting. And more than just that, so say here you've got a nice ether aerial, say, with a crystal. And here's your plant growing. Now, what's interesting, serious experiments have been done with this in the past. Nothing recent, but 100 odd years ago, they took this very seriously. Ether was all talked about. And not only did they prove it would get massive growth, they did a test where they grew plants in soil, nutrient deficient soil. There's a big problem we've got now, nutrient deficient soil. So they grew a plant without this, and of course it struggled. But when they grew a plant in nutrient deficient soil with one of these aerials, antenna, the plant showed signs of those nutrients. It's as if the plant actually created the nutrients. This thing helped it get the nutrients that were not there. So someone's got to do more tests on this. But this is very interesting because this goes together with ether. The ether is the process of manifestation, transmuting. So something is going on here. The life force of this plant, the energy, the life force is coming in. It's helping this to transmute, to create the elements that it actually needs to grow. So this is getting more and more far out. But this is serious stuff. The serious experiments have been done on this. So this is one of the solutions to counteract what's going on in the skies, the poisoning that's happening, and the control of the weather. They're messing around with the weather. So that's to ruin our crops so they can steal the land, take the land, and the central banks want to own it all. They want the farmers to give up and sell out. But if you do this, no need to give up. Increase your crop rate. And this is organic farming. This will also help balance against pests. Because when the pests come in, it's because there's an imbalance of energy. You know, the slugs and the snails come in to try and balance. This is what happens. If you can create a balanced, harmonious environment, you won't have so many problems with pests. You don't need so many, chemicals. Now, so that is some of the practical things we can do right now. We can all do very easily. But this also applies to our body. You see, our body is the same thing. Our body, here's our body, is a structure. It's like one of these buildings. And if we can put our body into a good structure, we can align it properly. And I mean even align it north, south. You see, a lot of the ancient Taoist practices like Tai Chi, you're supposed to face north. You're actually supposed to do it facing north. You're supposed to align yourself to the magnetic field. But when you align your structure, open it up into the correct position, you resonate. You are resonating with the ether. And here's your point of inertia, right in the heart, seat of the soul. You create a force field, a magnetic field around you. You implode inwards. This is implosion. Implode inwards towards the center of your being. And here you create a point of coherence. Everything works together. You align everything, and then you resonate with the infinity. And again, I'm calling this phi, ether. You resonate and you can create and absorb energy from this by doing this. This is how we can help ourselves. And this is very interesting because, again, a lot of this old world stuff on these old world buildings, you're going to see sculptures. You've got beautiful sculptures, haven't you? Beautiful sculptures of great sort of Greek gods, you know, with muscles. You've got these muscular Greek gods, all sorts of things, you know, and beautiful ladies, whatever they've got. But then they might have a sword or something, doing something. So these will be a sculpture, and they'll put these sculptures on the top of the buildings. And why are they doing that? What's the point of putting these sculptures of humans up there? It's, again, this is, you've got to look at this as resonant. This is an ether machine, a sculpture of an ideal human, a perfect Greek god, perfect proportionality of phi. The human body is built on this proportionality. When you put one of these at the top, it is resonating, attracting ether. And it's good for us. You see, when we look at the sculpture, we look at a sculpture of a perfect human being, peak physical form, moving just exactly right. It makes you look at it, oh, I want to do that. I want to be like that. It creates a sense of awe. And when you go into these cathedrals, a sense of awe. Wow, look at that. And that's one of the things they tell us. They built them just to create awe. Well, don't underestimate that. That is true. That awe is the energy. When you get there, wow. Make the most of it. Feel it. You'll get energized by that. When you look at these sculptures of Greek gods, oh, it's wow. But this is attracting ether. And they'd put these sculptures on top of all the buildings. You see them all around. And they'd have these other things. You'd have these urns. You have these sculptures of big urns like this. Or you'd have pineapples. And you have pine cones. All these different things about. But these are all to do with the golden ratio phi. This shape of these urns, the proportionality will be to do with phi. And again, a pineapple or an egg, this is a perfect example of phi. You see there's a proportionality. It's a bit bigger at the bottom than the top. Proportionality is this golden ratio is a ratio of 1 to 1.61 something. So it's an actual ratio, a proportion. So here you would have the top bit might be 1 and the bottom bit be 1.61. So the volume on the bottom half of the volume of an egg, 1.61, top half 1, something like that. So when you create these shapes with this proportionality, it is tuning, resonating with the ether. And when you create a human form, a perfect human form, again, phi is going to be manifest. The length of the arms, the body to the feet, the position it's going to be in is all perfect to do with this mathematics of phi. And it's artistic. You have artistic license. As long as you're trying to create a thing of great beauty, great perfection, then it will attract mathematics, it will attract the ether, it will create energy. All these things are symbols of abundance, but they are also creating abundance. They are quite literally generating etheric energy, life force, feel good energy. It's not physical energy. You can't go up there and detect it. No, you detect it with your soul. When you go in this building, you feel good. It heals you. You see, so these churches, these cathedrals, as well as being generators, power stations, they were healing temples. You go in there to heal. Let's have another look at a church. You see, great big church, great big tower. You've got the circle here. You've got the spire. You've got the aerial, the antenna, and then you've got the great big hallway, the great big hall going down the back with windows. But what they would have inside as well is bells. There would be a big bell. A big bell. And this is very, very significant. Again, this is not random. The bell, the shape of the bell, the resonant frequency of the bell, or bells, would be built together with the shape of this church. Very clever mathematics. Someone knew how to do this. So when you ring the bell, dong, it will resonate with the cathedral, the whole thing. Bong. And if you're sitting down in here, you know, you're sitting here inside the church, you will get this resonant frequency turned in on you. And this is powerful, powerful healing. And it's more than just that. Someone has already done the research. You see this circular thing here, you have these patterns on this circular window. Well, this is something called cymatics. Cymatics. Now, cymatics are three-dimensional representations of sound. If you create a particular sound, you can do this, say, on a metal bed. If you take a flat piece of metal, say, and you cover it with sand. You just cover it with sand, and then you do like a violin bow. You have to take a violin bow, and you draw it down the metal. This whole metal plate will vibrate, and the sand will jump up and down. Sound will jump up and down. And what happens is, at the perfect frequency, it will make a pattern. You might have circles will appear, like this. And if you do a different frequency, a different pattern will appear. It will create different circles around. So these patterns are called cymatics. And the resonant sound of this cathedral, you measure the sound that it resonates with, and you look at the cymatics of that sound, it will match the window here. Somebody knew the cymatic pattern created by this church, proportions of this church, and then they created a window to match that cymatics. That means this very clever, this is all connected together. This shape of this window mirrors, is aligned with the proportionality of the building to create a resonance. A resonance of this sound resonates with this shape, resonates with this structure. It all works together. This is all imploding to whoever sits in the middle. This is clever, clever stuff. And not only that, it's charged up by lightning. Lightning hits it, boom, the whole thing charges up. And inside you've got water. You'd have holy water, wouldn't you? Holy water inside. Now, holy water is charged up with this ionized air, ionization. It's charged up with the sound, dong, and it's charged up with all the images, the geometry that attracts the ether. So this will be healing water. And you'd have it near water. You'd always build these things near water, or you'd have underground water. You'd have catacombs deep down with water running underneath it. And you'd run through granite, and granite is crystal. If you'd have water running across granite, it creates electrostatic charge. This rises up. So this is an electrostatic power station, and it's a healing temple. And when you have this bell ringing, one of these in the village, dong, everyone loves it. You still hear them now, that some beautiful villages in Switzerland, hear the bell ringing, dong, dong. It just feels wonderful, absolutely beautiful. And you have to take all these bells away. All these are gone. Take these away. Can't have these. And maybe put back in a different set of bells that's slightly off. It's got to be the right bell for this right building. It's got to resonate with the structure. Remember, this shape, this is morphic, but this sound is different. This sound will resonate with this morphic, with this shape, this morphic resonance. It's very, very clever technology. And it goes together with chi, the life force energy. It is healing energy. So not only can we go to these churches and although the electrostatics is not there anymore because we've got the lightning conductor, that's taken away, but you can still feel the energy of the geometry. Look at what we've got. There's still a lot there. And this goes to more detailed healing technology. So we can do our own healing, for example, using a crystal. I can tune into the force. But what is the force? I mean the ether, the chi. How do I do that? I align myself, open up my bone structure, find my center here, feel the energy come into me. Then I channel the energy through into the crystal. The crystal creates coherence, so it increases the power, and it comes out like a laser, and I can transmit the energy. So you can just feel some now. You concentrate on the crystal, relax your mind for a second, you might feel something happening. Now, it's not energy that you're going to feel, oh, it's information. I'm transmitting information through the crystal. Pure information, and that information gets to you, it will trigger your own energy. You'll feel something happening. And if this is healing information, and you allow it to come to you, it will transmit and trigger healing inside you. So this is one thing we can do, but we can also build technology. People are doing it, you see. It's again to do with resonance. This is non-invasive healing technology. You see, you've got this terrible thing now. There's one of these terrible diseases. Okay, I don't want to say the name. Well, let's say here's a guy got one of these terrible diseases. It begins with C. So there's a C there. And how do we get rid of this C? Well, at the moment, all we do is very primitive stuff. We just poison you. We give you a load of poison, kills off everything, and hope that it kills that. And if you're lucky to survive it, then maybe you get better and this stays dead. But again, using resonant frequencies, this is basically a bunch of cells. These are cells doing their own thing. These are cells just growing and growing and growing, but they're doing their own thing outside of your control. And these cells will have their own little resonant frequency. This structure will resonate. If you can measure the frequency of these cells, so you know exactly what it is, then you can broadcast it. Broadcast the frequency powerfully at these cells. So you need some sort of an implement, some sort of machine that would broadcast the frequency, and it would destroy the cell. It's the same as an opera singer breaking a glass. You hear the glass breaks, but you've got to know this frequency. You've got to tap it. Ding, ding, ding. You've got to hear it. Ding. Okay, no. Ding. You've got to be the right frequency, then it will break. Wrong frequency, it won't work. Resonance has got to be the right frequency. The right frequency that matches the geometry. So it's the same with this. This cell will have a particular frequency. You have to measure it, then you have to broadcast it, and it will attack only those cells, nothing else. Nothing else will be affected. The exact frequency of these cells, they'll go. You've killed them all off. Finished. But nothing else is effective. No operation required. This is Star Trek technology, scanner. And again, like the pyramids, inside the pyramids, you've got the sarcophagus. You've seen that in the movie Stargate. They go into the sarcophagus and get healed. It's exactly that. In the middle of the pyramid is the king's chamber with the sarcophagus. It's right in the center. I talked about this. You could get healing in there. But this is how we could develop a technology that would do this. People are working on this. People are working on this. And for our own self-healing, we've got to build our own coherence and control all the cells in our body. We've got to feel our energy right out to our fingertips, to our toes. We have to gain control of everything. Our whole aura. I've got to be aware. I've got to feel this with my own energy. Nothing else comes in. See, the big C is another life. It's like another thing going on. It's out of my control. No, you're not coming in. I'm controlling this, not you. And there's one more thing I've got to talk about, and this is perhaps the most important thing about all of this discussion in philosophy, technology rather, and philosophy, is we're being poisoned. We've got a lot of poison coming towards us. Poison from the sky, poison in the food, poison in the water, everything we're being poisoned. What the hell do we do about that? Well, we become impervious to poison. We become impervious to poison. I mean this quite seriously. In the Tao, Taoist masters, the legends of the Tao masters say they were impervious to poison. They trained so much so that if you poisoned them, they could actually expel that poison from their body. Now this is true because all the training I'm doing, with all this movement I'm doing on this channel, is to move the joints, stretch and open the ligaments. And this works the lymphatic system. I'm dramatically affecting my lymph nodes. So this is going to massively increase my ability to detox. I'm stretching the blood vessels, drawing new blood out from the bone marrow, and I'm squeezing the lymph nodes, getting the lymphatic system moving and moving and moving. So this is very powerful detox. We can actually do this for ourselves. And we need to find some other medicines to help us detox. And a couple of medicines I'll tell you now. One is coriander, cilantro. It's a herb, very easy. You can put that in all your salads, but that's very good for chelating the blood, drawing out heavy metals. And the poison from the sky is heavy metals. And another supplement you can look into is Shilajit. Shilajit. Again, I'll leave links below, but Shilajit is, I'm going to talk about this on another video properly, but Shilajit is a resin. It comes from the earth, a natural resin, mineral-rich resin, very, very old on the earth. So all the minerals you need in there, but there's also other stuff, and this is very good for helping you detox. So there's a few natural remedies that you can take to counteract the poisoning that is happening to us. And the other thing we have to do is our own exercise. Train your chi, train your body, keep moving, keep working the lymphatic system, keep detoxing yourself. And the final thought about this is, we know that they're doing these terrible things to us, all sorts of terrible things. We've got radiation coming in, microwave radiation, we've got to resist that. Again, our aura will resist the microwave radiation. It has to get through the aura. A magnetic field will absorb and repel electromagnetic radiation. It is quite true. This is a physical thing. Strong enough, it's got to be strong, a strong enough magnetic field will resist radiation. So we build a strong aura that will give us a chance against all these microwaves coming. Resisting the things that are being done to us. We resist them by not letting our morale being broken, keep our spirits up, build our magnetic field, our aura to resist radiation and transform energy coming to us. You see, it's all about the frequency of the energy. The energy itself is okay, we just got to get it, transform it into the right frequency. We need to allow it to have time to come to us and move and change before it goes in. When it goes in, it becomes good energy for us. But there's another thing I invented. You've got these new masts here, these cell phone towers emitting the 5G radiation. And we got one just at the back of our garden, way too close to us, back there. So it's always shining on us. And in fact, if that's off my land, one of these projectors, all I've got to do is build a tall pole, metal pole, as close as possible to this, and then build on top of that a metal, a curved metal sheet like this, and just block it. They might not like that, but this will work, this will help. It will block it coming to your house. It will come around a little bit, but most of it is going to be blocked by one of these things. So this is a very simple thing we can all make. We can all build this. Someone could create a business making these things, protectors to put them up in your house, protecting from one of these. So that is a practical solution we can do to resist resist the microwave radiation. But I would say one last thing, and you get this idea. Use their weapons against them. What do I mean by that? I mean, but let's look at this microwave radiation. They're bombarding us with microwave radiation, and it's not good for us. We take that, it's going into trouble. But it's still energy. So they want to send a lot of energy to me. Okay, it's harmful energy. It's energy at a particular frequency, but it's still energy. If I get the energy come to me, it hits my aura. I let it in. Yeah, I come in. As the energy comes in, I turn it, I circulate, I move it, I transform it. I'm going to take that microwave radiation, circulate it, use it as force. I change the frequency of the energy to one that is good for me. In other words, they're attacking me with weapons. You throwing at me, I take it. I'll take that as energy and use it to build my strength. So you think you're harming me? You're not harming me. You're making me stronger. Now, poison from the sky is another one. You're poisoning me. Well, how do I use that against you? Well, if you're going to poison me, I'm going to use that to train myself to become impervious to poison. So I'm going to use that to make myself stronger. I'm going to work that out, work that one out. And you can play with that, experiment with that. And I'm going to talk more about that in future videos. But when you've got that idea, such a thing is possible to do, then this will change our whole outlook, a whole outlook. And another one of the whole things to realize is we're living in a world of abundance. See, one of the lies that we're told is everything is scarce. Running out of oil, running out of water, energy, you can't have energy. And, but all of this is abundant. Energy is free. Energy can manifest from the ether. It's free, infinite. Oil. Oil is a natural substance formed deep in the earth. It's abiotic, it's not biological. We're told that oil is fossil fuel. Give the idea it comes from biology and it's limited supply. It's not, it's continually created. There's infinite supply of oil. Plus, oil is still a natural substance. And if we burn it, we're burning a natural substance, pretty much. And all that happens is another natural substance comes out. Carbon dioxide comes out. Carbon monoxide comes out. Carbon dust comes out. We're told that is bad. It's not bad. This is natural. There's a thing called the carbon cycle. We know the water cycle. There's the carbon cycle. Carbon monoxide goes to the ground. Bacteria metabolize it. Carbon dioxide, same thing, is metabolized by the plants. Plants need it. Of course, we don't want to sit breathing in the exhaust of a car, but out and about, cars are not really doing the damage that we're told. And again, jet engines, the same in the planes. They're not causing as much pollution as we are told. See, if they really believe there's pollution in the planes, they're putting more and more of these planes up to spray. They're spraying more pollution. They don't care. It's not that bad. It's one less thing to worry about. Same with water. Water, running out of water. It's not. There's a thing called primary water. Comes deep from the earth. Deep, rises up. So again, there's infinite supply of good water. We've just been told that we can't have it. It's not there. To sum up this lecture, there is a different technology based on ether, and we've got to think about it. Research and think about it, and we've got to think in a totally different way. Let go of the science we've been told and start thinking in a different way. Think about it in our body. It exists in our body. We can create this. We have the technology within us to tune into the ether, to collect this energy and even create it. I will talk about the decentralization, how we can create a different network that we can share this technology. How do we get it out there? And the decentralization is the answer to the matrix, because the matrix, they control us because everything is centralized. If we can break that centralized power, we have a chance of reclaiming the world back for the people, all of us. We don't want these pathological, sociopathic narcissists ruling the world anymore. Let the decent people have a chance. Let us have a go now. So, I hope this made sense. Do leave any questions or comments below. I will get back to you. And please do go and look at the lectures one after the other. They all lead up to this one. In the very first lecture, I talk in detail about modern science, what is wrong with it. But there is an alternative science, and it is to do with the life force, to do with chi, to do with ether, a grand unified field. We're all one. We're all part and parcel of this field. And that's what we've got to think about. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day.